Hey guys, welcome back to the Study Survival Podcast with study tips, tricks, and study hacks that stick.
I do.
How are you doing today, Arnold?
I'm doing very well, a bit ill, but I will survive because
good.
we have a lot to talk about and it's good stuff.
I was worried you'd sort of drop dead halfway through the podcast.
I might still. But
stick around.
I'm gonna fight hard to not.
Excellent. I'm doing well today. I'm excited to talk about flashcards.
That's what we're gonna be talking about.
We're going to talk about why they're important.
Yes.
Why you should do them.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so if you had 3 minutes, what is the best thing students could do to transform their studies?
Okay, so students need to be using flashcards, and we're gonna unpick it a bit more a bit later, but what I would recommend is create 12 flashcards for one topic in your GCSEs, A-Levels, or whatever it is that you're doing. 12 flashcards. So, for example, it could be, I use this all the time, photosynthesis. Create 12 flashcards for them. There would be a prompt at the front, essentially a question, and at the back would be answers. And the way that you do it is you would read the question and then you would say the answer out loud, make sure that you've gotten it right. If you do that, that allows you to be able to recall quite well. So do that immediately.
Fantastic. Shall we jump into flashcards in more detail?
Let's do it.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I'd like to know a little bit more about the psychology of it. Why does it work so well?
Yeah, okay. So the reason why flashcards work well is because of spaced recall. The way our brain works is through repetition. And you've got to give your brain exercise in order for something to move from your short-term memory into your long-term memory. And the way in which you give it exercise is by increasing the gap that you need to remember it, or you increasing the gap between remembering that particular thing that you need to remember. And flashcards are perfect for having that space recall, and it's the quickest, most efficient way, though it's definitely hard, to help students put the stuff that they've just learned into their long-term memory so that when the exams come, they're ready to whip it out and go straight into it.
That's awesome. Should we talk about like the wider context of this way to learn? So a student might learn something by reading it or having it taught to them by a teacher,
Yes.
right? And then they might want to put that into their longer term memory in sort of short snippets,
Yes.
Which I guess is where flashcards
Yes,
come in.
that's
and
right.
and then they need to learn how to apply it into an exam.
Yes.
So this is a sort of really important in-between step
Yes.
between sort of learning the content for the first time
Yes.
and applying it. It's getting it into that long term. Is that
Exactly.
right?
When a student wants to do well in their exams, they need to learn the content. They need to know how to apply that content into exam situations. But the only way that that's possible is through a structure. And the structure that we're putting in place right now, the conversation we're having, is flashcards. It's the in-between from that, as you said, knowledge and application.
Awesome. And how often do you reckon students doing their GCSEs should be going over their flashcards?
Oh, right. So it really depends on the grade that they're trying to get and also where they started from.
Got it.
Now, typically, my recommendation would be that you increase the frequency the closer you get to your exams. So initially, it may be per subject, you might want to do it once a week. So biology on a Monday, and then next Monday it's biology, and so on. And then as you get closer to the exam, you might want to just be going over 5-10 flashcards per subject every day. But it's only a small amount, and ideally, if you have been doing this for the course of the year, by the time you're close to your exams, you're flashing through those flashcards because you've done it so many times anyway, and it's deep into your long-term memory.
Awesome. So for someone who hasn't written flashcards or practiced flashcards before, where should they start?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the quick way of doing it.
Okay.
And I will give you a long, most effective way of doing it, and it really depends on where you are. Your question was, how do they start? So the quick way of doing that is they can utilize AI, and they can put the specification onto AI and say, create for me a series of flashcard questions that you then put into your flashcards. All right. And then what you would do is you would look at that flashcard, look at the question. You probably couldn't answer it because you've utilized AI the first time. Go to your workbook to try and answer that question. and then keep going over that and over that. Eventually, as time goes on, you won't need your textbook to go over those questions.
Awesome.
Now, the most effective way of doing that is actually using your textbook and reading the content. And it depends on how you best learn, but you could read the content, you could utilize the diagrams on there, or you could even watch a video, but you've got to make sure that it covers the syllabus. And as they're going through it, think of where a flashcard moment could be. So I'm going to put in a question here, or I'm going to make a note here and put that into your flashcard. Now, the reason why that's better than AI-generated flashcards, even though that is still fine, is because you're in that mode, that process of learning as you're creating the flashcards. So it makes retrieving that knowledge easier the next time that you do it. Now, that's how you get started. This is the way in which flashcards actually work. Once you've created your flashcards, you need to have 4 boxes. Box number 1 is today. Box number 2 is tomorrow. Box number 3 is 4 days from now. Box number 4 is 2 weeks from now.
Right.
All the stuff in today's content, it might consist of everything. Look at the question and answer it. If you can answer it immediately, within 5 seconds, put that in the 2 weeks from now pile.
Nice.
If it takes you a bit of time to answer it, put that in the 4 days time. If you don't know it at all, then put that in the tomorrow pile. And then that way, you're constantly putting the right flashcards in its right pile, and you know which ones have been more embedded into your long-term memory compared to the ones that you actually need to be going over more and more and more again. This way, you're not actually having to go over the same flashcards every single time, which might be a bit dull, a bit boring, and it might not be helpful.
Because I suppose the temptation is to just go over the questions that you know,
Yes,
right? It's
exactly.
like, oh, I'm feeling great about chemistry.
Yes,
I
that's
keep
right.
going over these same questions and I
Yes.
know all of them. Okay, maybe it's time to write some more challenging flashcards, making sure you've covered the entire syllabus.
Yes.
Or keep going over the ones that you don't know.
Yes, that's
right.
Exactly.
Wow.
Definitely.
The way I used to do it, I used to write out all of these flashcards, and then if I got it right, I'd put it on one pile and they were done. And then if I didn't know the answer, I'd put it in another pile and I'd keep going until that pile was done.
Exactly.
Basically.
That's it. It's all about ensuring that you know something or you don't know something. If you don't know it, then you have to kind of force your brain to keep going over it until you do know it. Otherwise, you're fooling yourself by saying that you're fine when you're not actually fine.
Yeah, and I find that having a bit more context around the answers of these flashcards can help too, right? So I'm thinking of, let's say, Newton's first law in physics. That's something that I would recommend you had on a flashcard, and you just learnt what it is in the words that your specification wants you to write it in your exam. But it's so much easier to remember Newton's first law if you understand how it works, right? I remember doing a French speaking exam, and I just learned all of the words word for word, and it was so difficult to remember this paragraph of French because I had no idea what it meant. But once I knew what it meant, it was so easy to remember. So like understanding the context of these answers is immensely helpful because you're not just reciting gibberish to yourself, right?
Yeah, and I guess that's why working with textbooks and maybe videos work really well, because in the flashcard, you can actually reference the page or you can reference the video where you got that information from. So if you're looking at a flashcard, you see the prompt and you're like, what? And then you see the answer, you're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You can see, page 32, you go straight to page 32, give it a scan, and then you'll be a lot stronger.
Perfect. Should the answers to flashcards be multiple choice or nothing? Like, do you know what I mean? Should they be multiple choice or should you just remember the full answer?
This is my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that it depends. I think the majority of flashcards shouldn't be full answers, but they should be either summarized versions of the answer or short bullet points
Yes.
in there. the caveat to that is there are some times where you have to literally know the definition of stuff, and having the full unencumbered,
Yes.
uninterrupted version of it is the best.
I think maybe you could start with multiple choice if you really don't know. But to be honest, I'd recommend not doing multiple choice answers because you have to learn in it's more challenging.
Yeah.
And so you learn in a much better way. It's better for you to be completely flummoxed by a flashcard and then learn the answer, because then that stays in your long-term memory rather than just go, oh, it's C, but not remember, like, what is C when it comes to your exam, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Do you think we should write more flashcards for some subjects than other subjects?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we should is because different subjects have different sizes of syllabus.
Okay.
So obviously you might need more flashcards for one compared to the other. That is the most basic reason as to why you would have more flashcards for one over the other. The other reason is there might be more detail that you struggle with one subject compared to the other. The only way of knowing if that's true, though, is by doing questions. So don't fool yourself and say, I know this subject, when you don't. Do questions to prove that you know it. And if you're not doing well, then you need to be writing more flashcards for it.
Awesome. I mean, I would write way more flashcards in biology than I would in maths. Maths is almost straight to application, isn't it? It's like, how do you do this type of question? You don't learn a definition of, there's maybe a couple of definitions that it's helpful to know, but you don't start in maths by learning definitions. Whereas in biology, I mean, how many definitions are there in biology?
Yeah, so many.
I don't know what any of it means, by the way. Like, I don't remember from 10 years ago now doing my GCSEs. Like, well, what's mitosis, osmosis? And then you need to know what all of the hormones are and what they do. And I don't even know where to start with that now.
It was a lot.
Right? Whereas in maths, you almost go straight to applying. So you might not have many flashcards for maths, but I imagine you'd have tons for biology, somewhere in the middle for physics, right? Yeah. Great. So hopefully our students have everything they need to create some fantastic flashcards. So Arnold, for all the GCSE parents out there, why does revision cause so much conflict in the home?
The reason is because parents, this is a different time. Times have changed, and one thing that I know definitely works for children today is reward, encouragement. And I don't mean that the way in which, parents have to reward them is they need to give them £50 every time they do something good. Not at all.
That would be nice.
There needs to be a lot more positive reinforcement over the work that's been done. And in my opinion, there should be a little bit of reward over the work that's been done. So my nephew, he's 8 years old, all right? And I know this is different between an 8-year-old and a 16-year-old, but the concept's the same. My nephew is 8 years old, and he recently won the maths challenge. And we encouraged him. We said, wow, well done. You smashed it. You're so good. And then I kept on teasing him and saying, look, you go to your mum and ask for that game that you've been wanting.
Nice.
And his mum gave him the game because of the great work that he was doing. And then now he actually got a unique award. Only one student in the whole year receives that, of being, I can't remember what the wording was, but being the most excellent or the most excelled student in that particular year. And again, we continue to really pump in a lot of well done. It worked for me. It's working for him. I know it works for a load of other students too. So instead of focusing on negatives, one thing that I would encourage parents, though I know there's a lot that students need to do, one thing that I'd encourage parents to do is to reward amazing strides forward.
Yeah.
One perfect example of that would be if your child is doing space recall through flashcards, test them once a week and maybe once a month because of how well they did in that month. Give them something. Take them out to McDonald's, whatever. Just give them something to show that you really appreciate the work that they're doing. Honestly, it goes a long way.
That's awesome. Positive reinforcement is underrated. Right. When I was a tutor, just the encouragement, constant encouragement was transformational.
Yeah.
Right. It helps build confidence and makes revision something that's positive rather than negative.
Yeah.
I love that tip. That's brilliant. Marvelous. Well, we've been the Study Survival podcast. Make sure you're subscribed for all your study tips, tricks, and study hacks that stick. See you next week. Peace.